Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Moore. I'm a nurse practitioner at Arizona Liver Health in Phoenix, Arizona. Today, I'd like to share some reflections on my experience with obeticholic acid, better known as OCA from now on, in the management of primary biliary cholangitis, or PBC. So I've been treating patients with PBC since about 1983. That means I was caring for patients before we had any effective therapy. That's how old I am. And it wasn't until about 1995, with the introduction of ursodeoxycholic acid, or UDCA, that we finally had an option that slowed progression of a disease. But as many of you know, about half of patients don't achieve an adequate biochemical response with UDCA alone. So for more than 2 decades, we had no alternative. And then in 2016, OCA was approved. It was the first real second-line therapy for PBC, FDA approved. And in our clinic, we were fairly aggressive about optimizing care for our PBC patients. We really worked hard to not just prescribe the drug, but to also manage the side effects, particularly pruritus, so that patients could tolerate therapy, but also maintain their quality of life. So then fast forward to 2024, by then newer therapies that targeted PPAR pathways became available. So many of our patients who weren't at target on OCA or couldn't tolerate OCA were transitioned to these newer agents. Still, in our clinic, we had about 20 patients who remained on OCA because they were meeting treatment goals and they were tolerating the drug very well. So we just kind of sat tight. And that's why the voluntary withdrawal of OCA from the market in September 2025 has kind of been a pivotal moment for us. And for those 20 patients, OCA was working. So there's always anxiety when a stable therapy is taken away. And this is how we approached it. First, we reassured our patients, right? So OCA, I believe, and our clinic believes, remains a safe and effective drug if it's used in the proper way. And it has really served its role well. This isn't about safety concerns in the population we were treating. It's about evolving therapeutic options. And that was kind of the overarching theme of our phone calls to patients when we told them about the withdrawal of the drug. And then second, we stressed to our patients that therapy in PBC is about preventing long-term progression and that there are now equivalent alternatives, we believe, available. So both elafibranor and seladelpar are effective options, and our choice really depends on each individual's profile, potential drug-drug interactions, specific symptoms, and comorbidities. So thirdly, we focused on a smooth transition period for the patients. Most of our patients now have a 3-month supply of OCA on hand, which is going to give us time to really secure prior authorization for their new therapy. So we've emphasized to patients that while a brief gap in their is not expected to cause any immediate rebound, our goal is no gap, really, because we've reinforced over the years of treating these patients how important it is to stay on target to slow disease progression. So we'd prefer no gap, and we're working hard to achieve that goal. We're also going to be very deliberate about our follow-up with our patients following the switch. Our plan is to check in with patients 2 weeks after they switch to new therapy, probably with a televisit or a phone call, just to check in, make sure they're doing well, see if they have any side effects, any questions, and then repeating laboratory work at 4 weeks and an office visit around 2 months, obviously with open access in between for any issues that might come up with phone calls to the patients that they know how to get a hold of us, as I'm sure most of your patients know how to get a hold of you, whether it's through the portal or on the phone. And then we likely see patients quarterly with labs after that and individualized based on need. So really, this switch is all about patient confidence, individualized care, and making the transition as seamless as possible. So looking back over the years, I really see OCA was kind of a bridge therapy. It carried us from the UDCA only era really into the more modern age of PBC treatment, where multiple second-line therapy options are now available. And while it's the end of an era in some ways, it's also continuation of our mission as clinicians for patients with PBC to optimize their therapy, to engage in shared decision-making, and to ensure that every patient has the best chance at slowing their disease progression. So I guess in closing, I'd say this, that the tools may change, but the principles remain the same. Optimize, personalize, and support your patients through their PBC journey. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.